Hello there, people of the internet. My name is Odur Jigero, and this is Dialogues with Jigero. When I was getting married, I did not know that there is something that is called marital rape. I didn't know how it works. As men, we have always discussed this and said that this idea of marital rape does not make sense at all. And then you start listening to conversations and listening to people that have actually been married in marriage and have claimed that they have been raped in marriage. And so I don't think that we have ever discussed it here at Dialogues with Jagero. And today we are going to be talking about it. Now, look, a lot of people are always dismissing conversations and saying that it does not make sense or we don't have time for it. But I think that the reason why I am having dialogues with Jagero is that so that we can converse and dialogue around these issues, so that people that do not understand them can understand them. People that have never experienced them can experience them through other people. And today I've got Emily Omondi. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
We had a conversation on phone, and I think it was long. I don't know. Do you remember how long it was, the conversation?
It was so long. I was like, what? If you had notified me it would be that long?
Yeah, it was
Yes,
1 hour 14 minutes.
Ah,
Yeah, and that is after I called you back. So we talked for almost 1 hour 30 40 minutes.
it was
You know,
quite
and
a
your
long
and
one.
your account and your articulation of what had happened to you was extremely moving to me. you know so before we start this conversation, I am going to say that a lot of us men don't understand the things that women talk about, mostly. And that is why there is a lot of memes and jeering from men when they hear things that do not make sense to them. So, for example, one of the things that I think does not make sense to a lot of men is that you are claiming that you are raped and you are married. So, if you are married, the idea is that you should be having sex with your husband, or you should be having sex with your wife. So the idea of marital rape does not make sense to a lot of people, and that is why it is important that we talk about our experiences,
Yes,
so that people can see through the lens of what we went through and judge for themselves whether what happened is considered consensual. All right. So you told me this harrowing story. I am so sorry for what happened.
thank you.
You know, let's talk about you. So, where were you born? What was growing up like, and what kind of family did you grow up?
I was raised in the village.
Mm.
Yes, I'm from Seah County,
Yeah.
Kenya, to be precise. Yeah, so I'm a second born in a family of five. And I lived my life, particularly in the village, most of it. Yes. Yeah.
Mm.
So my dad passed on when I was 9. So at that time, I was given to another family to raise me. So my other four siblings stayed with my mom, but I was raised in a different home. Yes, yeah.
You told me that you you kept moving from one home to the other. Can you tell me about why this happened? Why you were not staying at the same place?
No, what happened is now after my dad passed on, I do not know. Maybe my mother, maybe because she was also young. Actually, she was 30 by the time my father was passing on. So we were five at that time already. So I feel like she had a lot in her hands, but she didn't know how to handle it because she was just a young widow. So she gave me out to another family. That family was now to raise me and take me to school. That was the promise. So I stay with them to be helping around and all that, and then I go to school later on. But it didn't happen. So I did my class 8 again for the second time. The first time I passed, the second time also I passed, but now there was still no school fees to yeah. So after that, that is when I moved to another family. Our wisher came, like my maths teacher, talked to those days they were used to be called counselors or
Yeah.
yeah, counselor, yeah. The
Yes, counselor. The guys in the ward guys.
Yes, yeah, those days.
Mm.
So I remember at that time the MP was coming, Kina James Orengo were coming at my area, and the councillor was there. And then this well-wisher who We used to call him Fade. Now, when I moved to live with him, we called him Fade. So my teacher went and talked to him, to talk to the counselor to see if maybe they can find a way of taking me to school. So that is how I got to, I found myself in Nairobi, because now he took me from the village and brought me to Nairobi. So that is now I moved to a different family again. So from there again, I stayed there for the 4 years, but I was in boarding school. But during the school, the holidays, I would come to Nairobi to stay with the family. So from there again, I came back to my relatives again. So from my relatives' place again, that's when now I went to get married.
Mm. How was it like living with people that are not your parents?
In a lot of ways, parents may think that they're actually maybe lessening the burden or helping the child. Sometimes you are taken to a well-off family because they say that now you'll get everything that you need. But it is never so. It is an assumption that parents do. So in my case now, in my young age, at that age, I was in class 4 at that time. So you need this home, everybody's old. I'm the youngest. Then there is a farmhand. So this guy could take advantage of me, could fondle me and all that, you see. Then I'd run telling my mother. My mother would not believe me. And, such kind of things. Now the child cannot speak. You get silenced every now and then because now your current environment is not giving you space to speak. Your family also is thinking that you're okay because you're in a well-to-do family. So there's no listening space. There's no conversation around that child. So that child actually particularly raises themselves. So I would say that it was like at that time I was, because of the fears and all that I was going through in that place. I remember now I was also bedwetting at that time. So when I was bedwetting, and then the family now, my aunt now who was staying with me at that time, she'd actually beat me on my private part every night. And I'd walk with the bruises going to school. You wake up in the morning early, you are bruised, you're supposed to go to school. I'm still young, I'm a girl. So I'd go still to tell my mother that I feel like I need to come back to stay with you. But my mother would be like, no, like go and help your mother. Because now in the village, whoever you stay with is your mom. So go and help your mother, stay with your mother. So I would keep on telling her that I am not okay. I'm not okay. Something may happen to me here, but now no one hears such kind of things. So I wouldn't say that allowing our children to stay with people, however how incapable or maybe we are so incapacitated that we cannot maybe take care of their needs, it may not be a good thing at some point. It is good to check where you take your child and also to listen to your child at that time. Yeah. So I wouldn't say I like it.
Yeah.
Like it is now that I'm learning how to trust people with my children. But rarely do I give away my children. I have to know where they are and what they're doing and the experiences in that space. Yeah.
So after were you able to go to tertiary education after you were Form 4?
Now no, I did not immediately. I was hoping to get to university, but now I missed with a point and I didn't get to go to university. So at that time, that's when I was called back to my other relatives again. Now they were like, please come back and stay with us, G123. We'll take you to Strathmore and all that. So I was like, okay, there is a chance for education. So I went back, but it didn't happen. Then I found myself working in the flower farms in Naivasha. Yeah.
Is this exactly what happened to you, where you are sort of taken in as a relative, as a maid, and then they're telling you that because you're going to be working for us, you're going to be getting this sort of education? Was that the idea? Because I've seen a lot of families trying to do that. They don't call you a maid, they don't call you a house help, but they sort of you just do what the house help would be doing.
Yeah, you don't actually. You can't even say you're a maid at that time. But you help around the house because you are smaller, you're younger. They see that you are helping, you see. But in the helping now, something good may come out of it. So because of the promises. And in my case, because I was bright, like, you see that friend of mine who talked to you about me, Now, that guy, he used to be like position 1 or 2, I'll be 3 or 4. So I was bright and I wanted to go to, like, I was hungry for education. So when there's a promise at the end of it, you actually just follow it.
And take it.
And take it, yeah. And no one cares. Because no one cares about other things apart from what they told you. So, like, you'll go to school. You have to do this thing, you'll be taken to school. And then you're like, okay, let me keep pursuing it. But at the end of the day, like, my first attempt, I'm the one who took myself back to repeat class 8. Like, I've passed my exams. I'm the first girl. Then then no one is telling me anything. And I'm like, what do I do? So I went, picked my books from the previous school, went to another school. Like, I reported to a different school to now, because those days we used to change our names when you go to a new school. So that's how I changed my name to Emily.
Yeah. From what?
From... Actually,
I also changed my name. So don't be afraid. I also changed my name. I changed my name from Odiwor to Odur.
No, because myself, I'm an Anglican. So when you get confirmed, you're given another name.
That's Catholic.
Yeah. Anglicans do that.
Really?
So mine I have.
Do they still do it?
I don't
think so.
Today.
It's very Catholic. You agree it's very Catholic.
Yeah, but for us also we go through baptism and confirmation.
Yes,
so on confirmation we're given a second name. So my second name was Emily, but my first name was Irene.
I don't think they do it at All Saints Cathedral these days. I think they no longer do it. They no longer change names.
I don't know. So I took on my second name Emily, and then I dropped Irene.
So we should be calling you Irene Emily.
Not really, because it's no longer appearing in my ID. But it does not appear.
Even me, Jagero, doesn't appear on my ID. It's my name. I love it. Yeah. So you go to Naivasha. I hear a lot about Naivasha flower farms. A lot of my friends from the village, a lot of my relatives from the village are working there. What exactly happens there? You go there, what exactly happens there, especially for women? What do you do there at the flower farms?
I didn't expect to work there at that time of my life. I think I went there when I was 19. So what happens is they have vegetables, like they farm vegetables and flowers. It actually horticultural town. So the flowers are brought to the airport. They go, like, they export and all that. But what I did when I joined in, I was to go picking the runner beans. There's some beans called runner beans.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is what I was picking.
What sort of beans are these?
They're longer beans. They're green long beans that are actually cooked like that. You just
I see them. I know them. Sometimes some people cut them.
They're fine beans.
Yeah.
The French beans, but there's also runner beans. So that's what I had gone to pick. So I was... do I say I was a casual worker or a picker or what? So
casual.
Yeah,
casual.
I was also doing the weeding of the runner beans when they're growing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is basically what I was doing. And then I did not find myself in the flower area because the chemicals were just like not... I don't know. I just survived. I didn't like it, but...
Yeah. We were in Nakuru we were in Nanyuki the other day, and there was a very pungent smell coming from the flower farms. And I was asking... my my colleagues, what exactly is this thing smelling that is smelling so rotten? And I never got to know what exactly it is. Probably they were saying it was chemicals. I don't know.
Yeah, so because they go through series of spraying the flowers, for their for productivity or something like that. Yeah, so I was there working in the farms.
Living alone?
At that time, I went to live with a cousin of mine. So the cousin who called me to work in the farm.
Oh, yes.
Yes, yeah. So I had gotten actually a job in Nairobi to teach, to go to be an trained teacher to teach French. Then I was called to go to the flower farm. And I was told that this is a better option. And I was like, no, because I'm not very good in the farms. So I was like, I cannot handle this. But they're like, this is good. Actually, you'll be made permanent in one of just go Jikaza.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, no, I can't handle it. But I had no option. And most cases when you're an orphan, let me say orphan, or maybe you don't have, there is no one that you look to. There's
no protector. I really understand it.
You don't have a choice. You just say, yes, I'll take it up. But now that is it is not a very good place for younger girls to be at. I wouldn't say that I would want my sister to work in the flower farm.
Why?
Because the older men take advantage of the younger girls because they're just fresh, they've come. So because you feel like because it's a supervisor, whatever, those other posts, they're able to give you a better life. Because you're in gumboots, you're in dust coats, and all that. You're in the dust the whole day, and then when there's someone who's actually showing that they can actually like give you a better life, you feel like you can tug around them. But at the same time, now they take advantage because now you'll be used in a lot of ways, but it is not like it's just being used. And then at that time, you cannot even make proper decisions because you're younger. Like myself, I met the guy that I met when I was 20.
Let's go to this guy. Issues of love are always, heartwarming, especially if they are good memories, right? So
Yes,
I remember most of the girls that I met and the emotions and those love, the butterflies.
Yes, yeah.
So you meet this man. How do you meet this guy? What is he doing in Naivasha? Because he's basically the guy that would later define your life, and that is the reason why we're on this podcast. How did you meet him? Give me a picture of how you met this guy.
Now my contract in the farm I was working for ended.
Yeah.
So when the contract ended, I found myself in a different farm that this guy was working at. Then because I was still interested in furthering my education, and so he was not one of us, like down people. For me, I went there to do weeding again. So he'd pass by now checking, like supervising.
He was a nyapara. Why do I feel like you remember this so well?
So what happened is, so we go to talk, and then he's like, hi. And, like then we started talking, and then he's like, "Oh, I like your English." And we're like, "Okay."
Your English is really good, by the way. You're very articulate.
I don't know. So so I think I had said something about education. So he's like, "I love how you pronounce education." I'm like,
what a lies.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay. So we got talking, but in my head, I was not thinking about anything.
Yeah.
So I left that farm after 3 weeks, but we kept on saying hi. Actually, because I have big feet I didn't have gum boots for weeding in the farms. So one time he brings me a gum boot, and I'm like, hey, okay. So
things are starting to look up.
So 3 weeks later, I left the farm, went to a different farm because, the salary by that time was 3,800. So we got
Which year is this?
This was 2009.
2009.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So I left that place. I go to a different place with a raise of 500, 4,000 or something. Yeah. So a friend of mine that we were in the same farm tells me, Emily, there's someone who's been looking for you. He's been asking me about you. I'm like, who is that? So I was confusing the name with another guy that I had known.
So you left this farm and went to another farm?
Yes, yeah, because now the contract is ending, and then you also keep wanting to get to a better place. Yeah, so my friend tells me that I need, he's been looking for you. I'm like, what? Who is that? So I was not remembering this guy. So they share a name that's a person that I know. I'm like, see, he'd have just told me what he wants to say. So it kept on happening until one time he's like, I gave him your number, so he'll call you. So he calls me, and I'm like, so it has been used. Yeah, so he tells me that let's meet at the library. I'm like, okay. So I went to meet this guy. We meet at the library, and I'm like, so I was like, he's a reader, and I also love reading. So yeah, we got talking again, and that is how we met.
Fell in love.
Yeah. They say love. Yes, yeah, because yes, I loved him. Yeah, and then at the same time, I was also coming from a place with no protection, with no father, male figure around you, and you don't get protected. Like I remember one time when, during my high school, where I was staying, I also went through a lot of escaping rapes a lot because of there was no one around me. because people would come, like the family I was staying with now, the sons will come, like, fondle you. You can't say anything. Their dad is paying school fees. At some point, I don't have money for pads and all that. I go to wash clothes for someone. Then the guy also takes advantage because you are in their house and you've come to work. You see?
I've heard of that story.
Yes. So I am like, so you keep on running. You keep on running and protecting yourself. So at some point also, I got, when I did my class 8, no, form 4, sorry. So the next year, I'm here looking for, I was working at some place, at a relative's place. Then one time they're like, no, you can no longer be here. And I'm like, okay, where do I go? I cannot go back home. Where do I stay? So another guy who was a client in that place tells me, Emily, I've not seen you in a while, when he meets me. And I'm like, I'm no longer working there. Then he's like, what is the situation? Then I explain to him what is happening. Then he tells me, then he gives me 500. Then again, at some point, he's like, he keeps on checking, because now I'd use someone's phone to call him. Because now he's the one that now I know that can help me. So he keeps on sending me money for pads and all that. So I keep on receiving the cash for pads. Then at some point he tells me, Emily, what if you visit me? He was a nice guy, an older person. In my head, I'm not thinking that there's something behind all these things. I don't know. People assume that we know, but myself at that time, I didn't know. So when he calls me to go to see him, and then he locks the door, and this is an older person, and then he wants to rape me. At that time, I'm in my periods. And I tell him that I can't do this. I'm in my periods. Then he gets so angry. He wants to see the pad. And then he gets to see the pad. And then he pushes me out of the house. So I had come from a place of running, protecting myself, wanting cover, wanting something that is so
Something
gentle and kind.
something I keep asking myself, Emily, because it looks like every woman has been assaulted before, because almost all women are always having a story of being assaulted. But you see, the thing that is very interesting and concerning about your situation, and the phrase that you keep saying, is that you kept running. Like, where is my protection? That's what you keep saying. Where is my protection? Where am I going to finally say, okay, now I feel safe? You were not feeling safe anywhere.
No. The education was there. School fees is being paid. But now, who is taking care of the affairs of the woman, of the girl, of the child at that time? Be it a boy or a girl. Like, no one asks you, how are you?
Yes.
Is there something that I can help you with? Or, like, how is life so far? You have come to Nairobi. Like, I would write letters to my mother when I schooled in Okambani. So I'd actually write letters to them and tell them, I'm not well where I am. This and this happened. This and this is happening in the family. And they'd be like, I'd later on, when I travel for Christmas, ask them, did you receive my letters? Years later, my small brother is telling me, by the way, we used to read your letters and we were laughing. Like, they never responded. No one ever visited me. No one ever knew what was happening to me. I remember one time the family I was staying with called the school and told them they should not allow the guy who was paying my fee to come to that school because he was a rapist. And this was actually a pastor who was now paying my fee. So the headmistress at that time says this thing to the assembly. Then again, I go through that shame of being told how I associate with men who are rapists and all that. And this is someone who I respect, who we call Father, and is the one handling my fee. So you keep on running for cover, protecting self and all that. But when you don't have someone who covers you as a child, it follows you to adulthood in most cases.
Wow. That is something. So you met this guy. How does it, you become boyfriend and girlfriend?
Yes, yeah.
How does it progress from here?
It starts well. He was that man that I was looking for, the kind, gentle, like very soft spoken.
Yeah.
Yeah, something that is less noisy. Like, there is no roughness. There is,
Oh my God. Less noisy. There is
you
no
know, like there
roughness.
are no chaos around him.
Oh
you know?
my God.
Because I've lived in chaos all my life. So I'm like, this is way better.
Yeah.
And because I have eye issues, actually, he'd help me cross the road. He'll be holding my hand and helping crossing the road. We'd be going for coffees and I'd watch football for him because I don't like football. So we go watch football.
The women that watch football for us. My
Yeah.
wife has never watched football for me.
Oh, today I can't. But those days I did.
Yes, my wife is like, you deal with it, man. I'm not
Yeah,
interested.
so one time he takes me to his family, a relative, and then the relative is like, yeah, you're the one that whose father passed on recently. So I'm like, what are you saying? So she kept talking, and I'm like, please, I'm not the one. So I realized that, yeah, there's another girl also. At that time, it does not ring anything. It does not ring like, I'm like, no, this guy is nice. So later on, with time, I came to discover that there were some other 3 ladies in the mix. And I'm like, now what is happening? And now I'm the youngest. What do I do? But now this guy was 11 years older than me. So I'm still hoping.
The 3 ladies are girlfriends.
Our girlfriends, yeah. So at some point, I was working in the farm. I'd go to his house to do cleaning and all those things. Yeah, now it should not be done. No man should do such. So I would go there, cook for him. He'd be going for classes in the evening, so I'd be cooking during the day. I make sure that his clothes are clean and all that. By the time he's coming from class and everything is neat, me, I'm gone. Because I was raised in that, like living in a place whereby it is a culture that you don't sleep in a man's house. You see, yeah, during my days, I don't know. Yeah, so I could not sleep there, but at that time now I'm doing all this cleaning and housework and everything. But now some other girl is coming to sleep there. So I was like, so the time I discovered, one time I come to Nairobi to Kenya Poly, I was still wanting to go to school. Then I'm late. Then I can't go to my cousin's place at that time. Then I'm like, I'm going to sleep in this guy's place. So that is the time now I discovered that Kumbe, there are some other girls.
You found a girl there.
So a girl comes and finds me there.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh my God. And the Luos who are big with everything, like, okay, like the real Luos that look like Luos. Yeah, so this girl
That's not me.
No, girls with like nice stuff.
Oh yeah, she was a Luo.
Yes,
Yeah,
the
well
big
endowed.
ones. Yes, and myself, I am small, like.
Yeah.
And then she's like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, okay. I told the guy to deal with it because I don't know how to handle such chaos. And then she's like, I am the girlfriend. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. I trespassed. And then I keep quiet. Then I want the guy to speak something, to speak for me, to say something.
Yeah.
But then she's not happening. Then the girl is like, she's not going because she's been the one who, like, she's the girl, not me. And the girl stayed till, I think, 1 a.m. We were there. Everybody is quiet and the environment is crazy. Then I was like, what if I just, because we had not eaten, what if I just warm this food and eat and keep quiet still and read my book? Then the guy left later on at around 1. I was like, I didn't know this was happening, but I think I was intruding. I told the guy. So the next morning, I left, but again, come back after a month. I was like, no, this is the guy. So again, stayed back. Then at that time, that's when I discovered that there's a girl that is pregnant. Then there's another girl also. So I got angry and left. So I by chance, I actually met the card that was written to this girl who was now expecting. Then I'm like, yeah, and who is this? And then, I'm sorry you had to find out, but so-and-so is 5 months pregnant. That is how I got angry. Now this is 2010, and left and came to Nairobi. But I kept on calling him. I kept on calling. I would still, now I got a job as a house help. in Nairobi at that time. Then I kept on calling him all the time. I was using my employer's number to call him actually. So every day I'd actually wait for my...
I've never been employed, but what I have always done is to do a lot of jobs online. I have been working with the clients in America, in Europe, anywhere around the world. I've used freelancer.com, I've used Fiverr, I've used Upwork, I've used anything that you can think about online. And in 2024, people are asking, how can I get an extra shilling, to plug the holes in my budget? Well, I want to tell you that over the last 3 years, I've been writing a book that I've called The Gold Mine. These are the kind of side hustle that you can do on the side to give you money. I cover in this book a wide range of options to suit your interests and skills. So in this book, there is step-by-step instructions, learning exactly how to get started with each side hustle, from setting up your business to finding clients and making your first sale. In this book also, I share with you expert tips and tricks, and I'll give you real-life case studies, see how others have used these side hustles to achieve financial freedom and create a life they love. You are going also to learn how to start a freelance writing business and learn high-paying clients, how to create and sell your own digital products such as ebooks and online courses, how to build a profitable affiliate marketing business, how to leverage social media to grow your brand and attract your clients, and much more. So thank you very much. Back to the program.
My boss to go to take the kid out at 12, and I call him. By the time my boss was discovering, I had used like 3,000 shillings.
Worth of airtime.
Worth of airtime, calling this one guy.
The only guy you knew.
And then what she does, like, who has been using my phone? I'm like, I was denying, and then she's like, there's a one particular number here, and I want to call this number, or else you go to the police. So like, I'm taking to Kilelesha police station. I'm like, what? So I was like, I am so sorry. I've been using your phone to call someone. And he was like, how can you even do that without telling me? So he was like, I've forgiven you, but that is not right. So that is how I was pursuing this guy. He was not pursuing, but I was pursuing him.
Why were you calling him?
I felt that there was no other safer place, like safer guy. He was the guy for me.
Were you thinking about marriage at this time?
I had not thought about marriage, but I believed in dating that leads to marriage. So I knew maybe I'd get married. And then when you come from my place, like from Central Nyanza, getting to get married to the south was something, like in my village. Like, and then you're like, oh, you're married to
that is the Runda.
Yeah, it is like a change, a whole big change. Like, now you are in a different environment,
Wait, Central Nyanza is where? Where is Central Nyanza?
Like my Ugenya. So I'm like, you're going to get married to the south. Like,
south is
Joloka,
Where is Joloka?
It is far, like Suba, yeah.
Oh, like the other side.
Yeah. So it was like, okay, in my head I was like, I never wanted to get married in the village because my mother had only crossed.
Even my mother crossed.
So I was like, me? No.
You are not crossing?
No way, I'm not crossing. So this one was from the other end. I'm like,
so Jaloka.
Yeah. And again,
you pursued Jaloka.
Such nice. And for me...
What was so good about him?
Because, those nice, calm people, gentle people. Like, I'm attracted to gentleness. So I was like, I don't like someone like roughening me up and talking to me in that other voice and all those things. And I was thinking that she's calmer to stay around him. Like, there's such a serene environment around him. So I would still keep on calling. So,
you wanted him to forget about these other girls and choose you?
Obviously, I thought that because I am younger.
Oh, yeah?
Though the girl who had a baby was also younger, we were like almost the same age. But the other ones were his age. So I felt like, why not?
Why not? Why can't I race and become the number one?
That year until now, the next year, 2011, I was doing that, pursuing him. I even traveled back actually to again be with him. So he couldn't come to where I was, but I kept on going to him. Then 2012, I think I gave up. Then I got myself to a situation. But I was still he was still the person that I wanted, because even with the fling that I got into,
Yeah.
this guy was still complaining about why I keep on calling this person. So in a span of 2 months, I was pregnant.
With this other, in this fling in Nairobi?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if it is, do I call it a fling really? I don't know it was also a pursuit of protection or something. One time, I'm in a house that, I'm in Kibera, living in Kibera. I'm in a house that has no electricity. And this guy like passes and like, yeah. How are you staying here without electricity? Like how?
This guy that was dating you.
Now like I got myself into, you know.
Yes.
And
this new guy in town.
Yes. And he's like, you can't stay like this without electricity. And he's like, he calls someone to do wiring and all those things. And I'm like, yeah?
Yeah?
Okay. Those small stupid things. Yeah. So he comes, does that, and then he goes. And we keep talking. And he was those handsome guys, nice guys. And I'm like, okay. So within in a span of 2 months, I was already pregnant.
So easy to get pregnant when you don't want to get pregnant.
I don't know if we know or we don't know, but it just happens. Like I was.
So you get pregnant. What happens? How do you react to it?
I didn't even know I was pregnant until one time. I'm wondering, because I was smaller that time, maybe I'm bigger now. So I see my tummy is no, there's something that is happening. I keep on feeling sick and all that. I'm like, then I go for that thing. I go to the clinic and I find out and I'm like, oh my God. Then I go tell him, by the way, it is like this. Then I go tell the mother also. The mother had come. And that is how they told me, no, you're not acceptable here. You cannot be my daughter-in-law. You cannot. And I'm like, now, how do I solve this? Then where I come from, getting a child out of wedlock is not...
It's not very pleasant.
The worst of things that you can ever do to yourself. Because that child will be... That child will be looked down upon. Everything will happen. The taggings around a child out of wedlock is not very good. I was like, I lived without a father myself. I grew up without one. There's no way my child is going to grow up without a father. Then within the same period of discovering and this person rejecting me, this family, I traveled back. I went back to the place I know best.
Now you have got a mission.
Yeah, because I'm like, no way. I can't raise my child alone. There is no way my son will lack identity at that time. Yeah, sorry. So I went back. Yeah. And later on called and said, when I came back, I am pregnant. Yeah.
And he's like, wow, that was... So he thinks it is his child.
Yes, yeah. And then also I restrained from traveling to his place a lot because I'm like, this is not nice. I should not do this. Then I'll take care of myself here. So I would really get sick through that pregnancy. I wouldn't tell him. For him, he had known, and that's it. So my boss would actually take care of my pregnancy issues. I used to get sick. I'd be taken to different hospitals, and I couldn't afford. But now my boss was a very pleasant Indian. She'd take care of everything about that pregnancy. I'd collapsed at her house. She'd rush me to the hospital. For a whole 9 months, she was taking care of me. And I'd stay in the hospital. She'd still pay me full salary. So by that time, I had bought everything that the baby needed. The whole, every need for the child. When I was going to get married, I had everything. Because I just wanted my son to
have a father.
These are the things I can work around them. So I went and got married. Yeah. My boss released me on first of...
Did you tell the gentleman that I'm coming so that we can stay together and raise this child together?
No, he knew that was the plan now. Yeah, that was the plan.
It's very interesting that now he's having a plan with you because you're pregnant, but then there was that other girl that was pregnant, but he didn't marry her.
It's called circumstantial marriage. that a man may feel like obligated to marry a woman because they're pregnant, and the woman also wants like, I am pregnant, so the solution is marriage. So
Hakuna mali naenda.
so it is circumstantial, like you marry because of circumstances, yet it should not be so.
So you get into this marriage. The guy thinks that he has got a baby coming up.
Yes, yeah.
It is not his baby.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. And then now you get into church.
I get the baby. I received the baby. We both received the baby. He was really loved. Yeah. So few months later, I'm still unable to be intimate with this guy because I'm thinking, this is not it. The moment I consummate this marriage, this thing, I'll have actually done a very bad thing. Because I was born again when I was in high school. So I knew it was not morally, it was not okay. So later on, I'm like, what do? I want to make things right. I want to live right. So I went to the nearby church and talked to the pastor and told the pastor, I got married to this guy, but now this is not his child, and I lied, and I want to tell the truth, and I also want to leave the marriage because this cannot happen. And again, even when I moved to his place, I had not yet gotten the baby, he was still with other girls. Even after I got this baby, he'd spend more time with the girl more than how he'd spent.
So now he would not allow them to come to the house. He would now be spending time with them outside.
I had blocked like that from my head. I was just here. I'm a wife now, and my son is actually covered. So the pastor tells me, whatever you have told me, go tell your husband. I'm like, I thought you were going to help me like the different way of handling this issue. That was just my thought, but I didn't tell him. But at the same time, because I was pursuing honesty and also living clean, I went and packed my bag. I still had my Nigerian and a suitcase, packed them ready, cooked, made supper, then waited for him. Because I knew that the moment he hears this story, that's the end of everything. So he comes and I tell him the whole story. And then he's like, he got so angry that he left and came back the next day. And then told me that, leave my house. I was like, it's okay. Let me not find you here when I come back in the evening. So I left. I was still around town. I don't know where to go. I cannot tell my mother that, by the way, this and this has happened. They'll blame me. Why did you say it? And why are you like...
Did your mother know by this time?
She knew I was married.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But knew. She didn't know what was going on.
They were happy. Yes, they were happy for me.
They were married to Jaloka.
Yes, yeah. And at the same time, the firstborn daughter is married without getting pregnant out of wedlock. But I had also at least stayed a while before getting the child, But still, that was not even something that was also like nice to them. But I was married, which was very good. But at that time now, I'm like, if I live here, where do I go? I can't go home. I cannot. I was thinking of a friend to come to stay with in Nairobi. But now I cannot also. It was such a hard time. Then he calls again and tells me, Emily, go back home. Give me the pastor's number. Then the pastor calls us together. We sit and then we talk. And the pastor says that now that you also have a child and she has a child, what if you give each other time so that she's able to raise this one, then after that, then she's able to get another child later on. But I think that you may want to forgive her. Then we go home. So it was not a yes or a no. It just calmed the waters. So we went home, we sat and for like a period of a month, it was like, Emily, leave my house, go. So in the morning, we'd be packing, and then my child is crawling, following him. And then we're like, I don't want to find you in my house. And then, the people are there. It was crazy. Then after that...
The neighbors are here.
It was a plot 10 thing, so you see everybody's seeing us and all that. Because when I want to leave, when he tells me to leave, I'll go take the key to the neighbor that, utapia nani akirudi, So they know that actually I'm leaving. But at that time now I come, I keep asking like, I need to go now. Where do I go to? At the same time, where am I taking my child? So I'm torn between leaving and also because I don't like the treatment. At the same time, where am I taking this child? Which house am I going to from here? So at that time now, it reached a point that now he came and sat down and told me, Emily, I want my own child. And at that time, my son is not even 1 year. I'm like, would you give me time? Give me time. This child, when he hits 2 years, then I'll be ready for another child. Because I went through a lot of horrible things during that pregnancy, a lot of threatening miscarriages and all those things. It was such a horrible pregnancy. I don't know how that child survived. A lot of times, there's a time that I was taken to the hospital by a matatu conductor because or else I would have lost the baby on the road. So I went through a lot of things with that pregnancy and I was so scared of getting pregnant. Then it starts like, Emily, if you go for family planning, there'll be no marriage for you. No child, no marriage. Then now it starts that at that time I go to myself again to the farm, the flower farm. So now I used to sell mandazis to the flower farm in the morning before I start work. From between 6 and 8, I was selling mandazis. So you see now I'm needing the dough till late. Then I'll wake up at 4 to do the cooking and all that. Then he'd still wait for me even at midnight, and he'd jump on me and yeah.
It was terrible.
So he'd be on top of me and he'd be telling me, I'm an African man. I want my own child. And he's on top of me. He's having sex. He's doing his thing. He'd do that every night, even when I'm crying. I'd be telling him to stop, to give me time. I'd be pleading with him, but he's on top of me. He's telling me, Emily, I want my own child. I'm an African man. So, I'd be sneaking into bed to thinking that he's asleep. But he'd be there timing me. I get to bed, he get on top of me. He does his thing. And every time, I would call it like he was raping me every night. So the days that I'd get sick, he'd take me to the hospital. And actually, the first thing he tells the doctor, check if she's pregnant. Is she pregnant? Even if I'd be having a cold. The first thing that he'd ask the doctor is if I'm pregnant. And I'd keep praying and hiding and going to check if I'm pregnant. And I'm like, no, I don't want to I'd be praying not to get pregnant. But he'd be waiting to get me pregnant every day. He'd be asking me to go for the tests and bring the results. He'd be taking me to get the results. At that time, I'm still breastfeeding my child. And 6 months later, I was pregnant with my second child. And I didn't like that pregnancy. I did not accept it. Now, when I was 5 months pregnant now with the second child, I got a job again back to Nairobi. And that is how I left and came to Nairobi. But I was still married to him.
Did you discuss that now I'm going to Nairobi? What did he say when you told him that you're going to Nairobi?
You see, my former boss, the one I was working for, the house help.
The Indian lady?
Yes, yeah. She called and told me that I had spoken to a friend of mine about you. Because by the time I was staying with them, they wanted to take me to school, to university. But now I got pregnant and they were so annoyed by me getting pregnant. So they were still thinking about me and wishing that I get something better. So they were like, they said, this friend of mine is setting up an office. So I would want you to go also do the interviews with the people who are getting interviewed. So I came to Nairobi and did the interview. I told him that I'm going for an interview. So I came, did the interview, and 2 weeks later I was called and told to come to Nairobi.
You are pregnant at this time.
Yes, yeah.
Mm.
So I do the interview and pass, but I didn't tell my boss that I was pregnant. So my boss discovers when I was 7 months, almost 8. And now I had to leave Naivasha and come with the boy. Oh, so I'd take him to the daycare and pick him in the evening, but now go to work. I was working. So I was working at that time as a cleaner and a tea person. So I had to tell my boss because now it was getting bigger. So ever how small I was, he had not realized that I'm pregnant. So I just went and told him that I wanted to inform you that I am actually expectant. And he was mad. Why couldn't you tell me? I'm like, I didn't say because I thought you'd not take me in for this job. At the same time, also wanted also to leave that environment, that marriage. But at that time, I still could not connect with the child. I had not bought myself a single maternity dress. I had not gone for antenatal clinic. I had not told anyone I was pregnant unless you see me. My mother had called one time, I hear you are pregnant again. I was like, yes, and then I keep quiet because I couldn't explain to people why I was pregnant. That
So
I was
shortly after the
pregnant.
first child.
Yeah, I was pregnant to keep the marriage, also, and at the same time, my child had to get a father. So that is when my boss gets to know, and then he gets concerned, and then he's like, I kept on closing myself inside the store. Every time I've done with the work and cleaning and all that, I'd lock myself in the store and switch off the light and stay there. I'd eat cold food and stay there. Then he started now coming to call me out of that place. He'd keep telling me, Emily, you're pregnant. Come out of that place. Come out of that place. You're pregnant. And that is when now it was hitting me that it is real that I'm pregnant. And that is when I went to Kenyatta Hospital to do the antenatal clinics. And the nurses were like, in this day and age, you are coming for antenatal at this time. They are complaining, and I could not explain to anyone that I'm pregnant. I met a friend of mine who was like, yeah, you're pregnant again. And I was like, I can't, I could not tell anyone anything. Yeah. And I got the child later on. That is when now I started accepting my child. Now
Baby girl, baby boy?
Baby girl. Yeah.
What a story. This guy is in Naivasha, and you're in Nairobi now with the 2 kids. Yeah. Does he come visiting?
No, he left the country before I got the second child, now the child that he wanted. So 18 days before I got the baby, he had actually gotten a job out of the country, so he traveled. So by the time I was getting the child, he was not here. And he came back 15 months later. When the baby was 15 months, that's when he came back. Yeah.
Such a long time.
Yeah.
What was the conversation like when you had given birth? Was he calling?
Yeah. He took care. I was married. Now I was a wife. So yes, and the child had come, and he was also happy. And people were happy.
Everybody's happy.
People were happy. Yes, yeah. I had
you have gotten, for you, you were not happy with the child. Now you have accepted.
Until now, my boss started sitting me down and telling me how to take care of myself. That is 8 months, towards the 9 months. That is when I was now starting to accept this child. And that is how, by the time now I was getting the child, I was receptive towards the child. Yeah.
You tell me that things take another quick turn. After the birth of your child, he comes to Kenya and he's changing.
Yeah, he'd come and I'd noticed things, but now I was thinking that because people, when they're out of the country, the things they go through that we don't know. So we are like, I'm like, I have to be an understanding wife. At that time, when I got my baby, now I went back to church full time. I was like, I got myself involved into every activity in church and all that. Then later on, he now, dowry happens. Then at some point now, he starts sending me pictures of some other girls. Like, why are you not like this girl? Why are you not like this? I'm like, what is happening? Me, I'm now busy raising two children who are almost like, they're all small.
He's sending you pictures of other women.
Yes, that I am unable to be at par, like to be same to like this woman. I'm like, now how? Like what? So because I'm here, you're busy raising two young children.
Sometimes you're wondering, these beautiful videos that Jagero is doing on his podcast, what does he do when he's not doing podcast? So what we do when we're not doing podcast is to make videos for our clients. We make documentaries, we make podcasts for other clients, we shoot photography, we cover events, we cover conferences, and we do a lot more. We have every equipment that you need to make videos for yourself. So if you want to reach out to us to make videos for you, you can go to coremedia.co.ke and you can contact me, or you can just contact us with the email that we're going to leave at the end of this video. So thank you very much. Back to the program.
And I'm like, now what is this? So I'm not still now also like getting too much of that.
He's sending on WhatsApp, or why is he
On
sending?
WhatsApp at that time. And I'm like,
Are you asking him who these women are?
do you know that when you are a villain, like I would actually see myself as a villain, that this guy helped me to accept that now I don't like that word, like accepted me, with a child. Now I am here as a wife. My concentration is making the environment like good for him. So I don't want to engage into any fight. Actually, there was no woman who was going to make me leave my marriage. Only abuse could actually like pushed me, but no woman would make me leave my marriage. So at that
What
time,
are you saying? That you could do anything with my husband, that's up to you?
like it was not, it was, I would say at that time for me it was a non-issue. So it kept happening. It kept like a lot of things, like he'd handle his finances and all, he'd handle us and all that. For me, I was just here raising babies, and then he like to my budget, and then I send the rent and all those things, and then the rent is paid, and then we are here. But there is nothing else going on beyond all these things that are happening, beyond the responsibilities. But so with time now, I kept realizing that actually there are some other things that are happening on the other side. I'm not the next of kin. I'm not the priority. I'm not like his family would rather come first, but not me. So again, in finances, you're not like you have no access. Like I had no access, to the finances, and I'm like, what is this now? Then again, I found myself in a place whereby I'm saving in a circle. Then he says, why are you saving in a circle on your own? Why do you have your own account? Now, this is why you are a single-minded person, and you are not staying as a married woman. You need to do this and this. And then I close my circle, take all the money, put to his account, because I want the marriage to be calmer. I want peace in the marriage. Then he'd come, and then now that's when now he'd actually tell me, I am here. You're waiting for when a woman is waiting for her husband, there are things that, someone is there. So which means you're preparing yourself mentally. I am here, like, yes, he's coming next month. I am warming up to his coming and all that. I am purchasing things, because I had actually learned I would take care of my family in the sense that I would make sure that, like, he does not do bread and tea or suju, those other things. I do ndumas, I do those things. Everything is actually stocked, the kitchen, because he never used to eat from food for what is cooked by the house girl. So I'd make sure I'm doing the cooking for him when he comes to the country. I'd wake up at 4 a.m., make the breakfast, lunch, and supper, because in the evening I'd be going for classes. And for him to be comfortable, for me to actually also be an acceptable woman, and I'd do all these things. But at that time, that's when now I'd be waiting for him. I buy myself those two things for women and all that, and then he'd still tell me that I'm so ugly. I don't impress him. I'd dress up and he's like, Emily, you don't turn me on. You're so ugly. I'm like, what? The more he'd say that, the more I'd want to do better. The more I'd actually strive to perform better, to do better, to make sure that I impress him and all that. But it could not work still. So it actually started becoming resentment started coming in, and I'd wonder what is happening now. So he'd actually now start the fight, like from 4 a.m. there'll be fights until I go to work. I'd go cry at work, then come back in the evening, assume everything is okay again. He takes me through the same series of body shaming me, telling me how I look fat, I look ugly, and all those things. And I would still want to do better. I would ask myself, Kwani, what is wrong with me? What else can I change? I would exercise. I would exercise. Till now, I cannot go to the gym at all because it scares me. It triggers me.
It triggers you.
I cannot do a simple exercise. I'd rather just have a walk because it triggers me because I'm living as per his standard in my head still. So I remember one time I find out that he's actually having an affair with a smaller girl, a 21-year-old, and I'm like, what? What if you would have taken an older girl that you can converse with? This is so young. At that time, I still could not leave because I was feeling like just an affair.
Just an affair.
Yeah.
There's so many women that get mad at affairs.
Yes, those are the days that he'd tell me, Emily, get checked, like for HIV status, and he's like, Emily, are you okay? If you're okay, I'm okay. So it will be like that.
Why was he telling you that?
And this was also happening when I was dating him, Emily, like, you've gone for VCT? Yes. How is it? It's negative. If you're okay, I'm okay. That is because he knew himself. And at that time, I was like...
So he was checking his HIV status through you?
Through me at that time. And I'm like... So until now, when he was now coming back to the country for good, by the time he was coming, we had gone through a lot of fights that now we were not also communicating. Like, we were at a place whereby it was like, say hi to the children. So by 2019, when he's getting back to the country, we were not in talking terms because now it was a lot of things had happened. And I tell him that now, you're coming back, but now this marriage is like, it's not there. So what if you seek help? Because during this season, those years, I was the one who was going to the church, talking to the pastors, telling them, please, this and this is happening. Can we do something about it? So I'd be the one seeking help, engaging, finding what is wrong and all those things. I would do all these things. I would go to the doctor to seek counseling, to seek therapy for him, for myself. I'd do all these things. Until one time the therapist told me, Emily, I just told him actually when you're seated, stop blaming your wife for your problems. Take care of your issues by yourself. That is when I started disengaging from now, taking charge of his own mental wellness and also the issues that are happening around the marriage and all that. So at that time, he comes back to the country. And then I'm like, he does not, because he's from a Catholic background, so I'm like, now we need to seek counseling, but you want to go to the church where I go to because I'll be biased. So I give him another pastor's number, and he calls, and then we are referred to another pastor. So we start our counseling. 2 weeks into the counseling, that's when the first physical abuse happens. Yeah.
What does he do to you?
So there were a lot of issues that had happened. So now we're just sitting now in a counseling room to now get to talk and get a solution and also find a way on how we can work on the marriage. Then I had said something during the counseling session. Like, I don't know, there's a way that I would say something that may not, there's a way that I speak that may not be liked. Yeah, so I just told the pastor that, by the way, he had said that actually he can leave me with everything. And me, I was just talking. So we go back to the house at night.
Leaving you with everything meant what? With kids?
The kids, yeah. Because I had it on message. So I was like, yeah, the message, I had it. I asked, what is everything? And then it's like, the kids. And I'm like, okay. So I go back. At night, we are here on bed, the children are asleep. Then he asked me, Emily, what did you say what you said at the counseling room? I'm like, what did I say? I'm like, see, but But it is true you say that. So I was stretching on the other side of the bed to pick my phone to show him the message, like to confirm. I hear women keep records. So I was like, it's here in my phone.
You're showing him a receipt.
In my head, there was nothing in my head that he was angry. But I had experienced his anger bursts earlier in the marriage. He'd find a remote that does not, like, the a remote does not have a battery. He'd hit it to the wall and, like, threw your tantrums in the house and make, like, you all chill. Like, everything just goes quiet. He'd do things, like someone else would cook for him and like, it will be an issue. So I had known that he goes through such kind of, like, such things happened. But I didn't know this time, he was angry. Then I'm stretching to pick my phone. Then his hand, I feel his hand on my neck. And he's strangling me. He's on the wall. He's actually put me on the wall. And I'm gasping for air. And I'm pleading that, please, please. And he's doing that for a long time. He's choking me. And by the time he releases me, I am telling him that I am calling my mother. And he's like, what will your mother do? If your own mother was battered by your father, what will she do? And I'm like, then let me call someone from church. Then as I was escaping from the bed again, he takes me back to the wall and strangles me. And at that time, he says that I can do worse than this. Then he keeps doing that. By the time he lifts his hand from my neck and I am seeing darkness, and it's like everything goes black. Then when I get to escape from the bed, I run to the bathroom area. And I want to stay there for a while. And then he comes and tells me, Emily, the children will notice. Come to bed. The children will notice. Then I come to bed. Then the fear of waiting for the morning to come. In the morning, we go to church together. It was his first time to go to church. The previous day when we were going for the counseling, I told him that we can pass by the church so that we attend a conference that was happening in the morning. It was a parenting session. And the members of my group had seen him. We're like, wow. So Emily, you're married. Oh, this is your husband. Wow. This is like, he's those, nice, handsome guys. And everybody's like, yeah, okay. And girls are happy for me. And they're like, now we know, Kumbe, you're married. So the next morning we go to church and people are like, he has even come for the service. We've been praying all these years. I have been praying, like, if you go to my prayer requests in the Bible study group, my husband to be born again, my husband to come back to the country, my husband to do this and this, It has been, my prayer requests were actually of my husband. I didn't even have my own prayer request. And people are so happy for me. Like, they can't even wait for the service to end. Like, someone comes and taps you. And I'm like, they don't know. At the same time, I am crying through the service because I can't even imagine, like, I'm going back to the same house and they don't know who this person is. The person they're seeing here is not the person that actually is at home.
They're seeing your tears in church and thinking that they're tears
Maybe,
of joy.
during the worship, you're just praising God and everybody's there, everybody's minding their business, no one cares. But now I am crying through the service. And my children are so happy. It is the first time their dad is coming to church with them. Like, they are so happy. No one actually, like, my crying and my pain was an issue at that time. So I see a friend of mine after the service because it was a Father's Day that day. My friend calls him and tells, my friend actually takes him to the visitor's parlor. He's taken care of. He's, a daddy, a visitor. He's celebrated. It was such a nice reception. I tell my friend that...
One apart from one that happened a few hours ago.
Yes. So I tell my friend, and I tell Jackie that, you see, I don't want to go back home today. That, he was strangling me at night. And then Jackie tells me, sorry. She says, it is well. It is well, Emily. Don't worry. I am like, what are you saying? I'm still stuck at her arms. Then this guy sees me in Jackie's arms, and she's like, Emily, he does not want someone to know what is happening. Emily, let's go. She comes, and then the way he comes, and then he just rubs my back like this. Like all this time, he's holding my hand, he's rubbing my back.
He's holding your hand in charge and rubbing your back.
So
like the best lover in the world.
No, he's nice. Like that is the picture that is who he is, And people are still wowing and saying, like, wondering, this one is just a lot.
I can only imagine church girls that are not yet married seeing the display of affection.
And at that time, I was also like,
I
was like something like, in quotes, like an example for the younger girls, because now me, I'm married and I'm teaching them about marriage and submission. So at that time,
about marriage and submission.
Well, it is actually slavery. So at that time, I take him out to KFC for lunch.
Hey.
It is Father's Day. And then I tell my children, tell Daddy he's the best dad in the world. And then they tell Daddy, and people are happy we are eating KFC, and everybody's like... Then we go home. Again, the fear starts. I'm like, how will I sleep on the same bed with him? So I go to work the next day because a friend of mine had always known what was happening in my marriage, a senior boss. Then I tell her the story, and she tells me, Emily, today I am coming to your house with my car, and I'll carry everything plus you and the children. And I'm telling her, Aki, I can't leave. Imagine he's changing. He even came to church. And she's like, Emily, today I'm going with you. And actually I had to find a way of how I left in the evening. She didn't even know. Then I'm like, I'm still battling the issue. I tell my mother is like, no, Jaloka cannot do something like that. Then I take a leave to solve this.
Essentially, she says that you're lying.
Yeah, I take a leave to solve this issue, but it's not happening. Then when we are still doing counseling, so I'm explaining what happened to me in the counseling room. And then he's like, Pastor, if I would have strangled her, would she still be here? Does she know what strangling means? I cannot do something like that. And then
He denies.
And he says that, no, Emily does not know what she's saying. Then I look stupid. I take a leave to solve this matter. I don't solve it. No one believes me. I'm here trying to find a way on how to sort it. Then it goes on like that. The second time it happens again, I run, and actually that same evening I go to where we are doing counseling and tell him that I'm not staying anymore. I am leaving. Because now this happens again a month later. Then I tell this person, I'm not going to stay with him. During that, at that time, he's taken for a separate counseling and me separate counseling. That is how he gets born again. And I'm like, no, I'm staying. I'm staying because now this has been a prayer request. This is what I've been waiting for.
The prayer request of him coming into the country has been fulfilled, and now he's born again.
He's a born again husband. I stay on. I keep staying on until now it happened again, the third time that now ended the marriage. So when it happened the third time, my children watched. It was in the open. I've been hiding it from the children and the house help. This day, my sister is there, people are there. My son is the one now who goes out to seek help outside, to ask people to come and help. And the children are screaming, asking for help. People are coming there. Now, people are not coming inside the house. So what happens in Nairobi, I don't know. People are like, people who are together, we cannot come in. Like people, like when you're kwa nyumba moja sisi hatuwezi ingilia, something like that. So everybody is like, they let them mind their business. So my son gets desperate and runs to the other neighbor that now they play with their children. And like, Mama so and so, please come and help mommy. So that is when now they come. This lady comes inside the house. And now at that time, he's actually hitting me like I'm on the floor. And then my sister is also being hit. And then my daughter is screaming. My son is still screaming and still asking for people to come in and help. And that is when now he stops, when this mama so-and-so comes to the house. And when he's asked, why are you doing something like that? And he's like, I don't, like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it to happen. And it is chaos also. The children are still crying. It is a commotion. Now the neighbors now have already come in because the first person has come in. So people are here. We cried. That night was such a long night for us. And then I remember I slept on the children's bed, and then my daughter is asking me, Mommy, stop crying now. Mommy, now stop crying. And then I'm telling her that I cannot stop crying because I'm feeling pain. And then she says, I'm also feeling pain. And that is when I realized that I had exposed my children to, I have been wanting the ideal marriage, wanting the ideal environment for children, because I wanted to raise my children in a home whereby there's father and mother. And also my children have been longing for a father, and now he was back. And at that time, you see, they want to, one time my son had actually gone to stay with the neighbor because there was a father in that house. Then he's like, me, I want to stay there because there's a dad. I remember him telling his friends that, mnasemanga sinanga daddy amekam, mi nakwanga na daddy. I was torn between seeing the needs of my children, my need, or what do I do now? But at that time, at that same night, I told myself, this is the last time. I'm not going to stay in this marriage. In the morning, we wake up. My hand is swollen. I wake up, I go to the kitchen. I'm supposed to go to work. He's in the kitchen. He's cleaned up the kitchen. He's cleaning the utensils. The whole house is clean. He never does such things. And I'm like, what? He's like, I'm telling him that, by the way, do you know you went too far? And he's like, I am sorry, you can go get checked in the hospital. And I'm like, who is this person? What is happening here? I go to work. I still can't even actually believe what has happened. It was during COVID, So my children goes outside to play. Later on, I realized that they cannot. My daughter stayed home for 3 months because they were laughing at them. My son takes all his savings, those home bank. He takes it and actually shares with the kids so that they stop taunting him. It was such a sad place for us. And then I tell him that, by the way, I'll be leaving. And he's like, no, you can't leave. If you're leaving, then let me leave first. So he leaves. So when he leaves, he goes, he packs all his things and goes to his brother's place. You know where I come from? It is a Luo culture that now there's no way a husband can leave a house and go to the bigger brother's house, and then he stays there. Go back to your family. What is happening? That is what happens. But it's my mother who calls him to come back to me. But still, when he came back, I told him, I will not stay. I don't have money now, but I'm waiting to leave. So when I went to tell them that I want to leave the family, they're like you leave, you go where? You think that you'll actually stay outside there without sex? Single women will still look for men to sleep with them. So there's no way you'll survive. Then they talked ill about it was thought that I'm leaving for a different reason, but I will still actually come back because there's no reason for leaving at all. Then I came back and became a good wife for 1 month. I told myself I'll be here, but I'll not say that I want to leave. At that time, he goes to church to seek help because I told him, by the way, I know very well how I feel about this situation, and I know at some point I may not stay. But I didn't tell the brother, but I told him. So the church comes in. At that time, I was still have my hand, this hand cannot carry heavy things till now. So my hand is still swollen. We're on the table. We are having a coffee at Java for the mediation to happen. So this couple comes that they were sent to us, and
By
they're
the church.
yes, yeah. So I explained to them my reason for wanting to leave the marriage. And I'm telling them that even as we speak now, you see how my hand is swollen. And then this lady's asking me, Emily, have you tried giving him some sex? And I'm like, what are you saying? Like, have you gone through abuse yourself? Can you sleep with your husband when he's just hit you? You know, at that point, you keep wanting to run away from every slight touch. Every night, I would be screaming when I feel his hand around me because I'm feeling like the next time he's going to kill me. I'm feeling like I should have a knife next to me or a pan or something because I also have to protect myself. So this lady is still insisting that you need to reconsider this and this. My Bible study group leader also comes and tells me, Emily, you're just a stubborn woman. You need to keep your marriage. It is women who builds up their marriage. You're going nowhere. And Luos and lawyers don't separate. So what are you even doing? I'm like, don't divorce. And I'm like, you don't understand what I'm saying. I want to be in a safe space whereby I am able to reason well. Let me remove my children from this situation first. When I think clearer, I'll be able to make a decision that actually is informed. And still no one could hear me. Then I went for therapy. I was like, maybe I'm crazy because everybody would talk and I would feel that I'm crazy. My mother would call me and tell me that I'm going nowhere, I should stay, and I'm feeling crazy. So there was no one who was actually hearing me. So I went out there and I was like, I'm going for therapy myself. I didn't tell anyone. So one time I just went to look for therapy. I went to a therapist and sat down and I just pour it out. That is when she didn't tell me to leave. She didn't tell me that, by the way, that guy is very bad. After that session of 2 hours, I made up my mind I'm going to leave. And that is how I called a meeting and told them that I need 6 months out of the marriage. I knew that I wanted to leave. So I wanted to make it formal so that, like, just out of respect because of the person who was taking us to the counseling. But they were like, please take 3 months. I was like, no, I need 6 months. So by the second month, I told him that I cannot come back to the marriage. That is how I left. Yeah.
What a horrific story, my dear. I'm so sorry for what happened. It's very for women who are, as we wrap up this interview, for women who are stuck in where you are, what is the way out for them? How do you begin to strategize on how to go out or remain in such kind of abusive marriages? Because I think that is the whole point of sharing your story, so that women who are in such situations can get some nuggets of wisdom from you. What would you tell them? How do they begin to? Because now, listening to your story, your mother is telling you to stay, your husband is telling you to stay, your church is telling you to stay, and these are very powerful authorities in your life, people that you're looking up to. It is the church that is your first point of protection, is not protecting you. Your family, led by your mother, is not protecting you. Your husband is not protecting you. How does the woman start now figuring out what to do?
I would say that what I learned through my journey is I have to believe myself first. I learned to believe myself through the rejection because I was like, if where I have stayed for years, like in this church, they can't believe me. My mother, who is my own mother, cannot believe me. So I have to believe myself and for my children. So because the environment was too toxic for my children, and I saw the results, the consequences of me staying in the marriage after I left with them, because of how I had to take them through therapy also. How they, like, the school could call me and all that. So I would say that for a woman, there's no good time for leaving. There's never like, I am strategizing to leave. You may be strategizing to leave at the same time you get killed. So as much as you are able to sit with yourself and ask yourself, like, and believe yourself, because you know what has been happening and you know how much you can take. And in most cases, you can't prove yourself right to people. I could not actually say it is true, by the way. The more I could say that, the more I could actually get hurt more. So I believed myself. That gave me the courage now to think of even leaving that place. I didn't care about someone else telling me something else. or someone using the Bible to castigate me and make me feel like I don't know what I'm doing. So because I believed myself, I found the courage to live. Yeah, at the same time, I think God also sent just people around you. I don't know. For me, because at that time, a lot of people, like, their friends, like, they actually leave you in that whole mess. Because now, no one wants to be responsible for breaking a marriage at that time. Even
Ja-
the church doesn't want to be responsible for breaking a marriage. So no one will actually stay close to you.
You're on your own.
So I don't know, for those who don't have children, I don't know what I can say. But those who have children, me, I would see my children and I see how I was torturing them by me staying in the marriage. So children can never be a reason for someone to stay in the marriage. I would see my son running away from home every day because he can't stay home because he was hearing voices, seeing the fights, seeing the visions and everything. So I left for my children and I left for myself. And there's no formula for living for a woman. But the more when you believe yourself that I believe my story, I've gone through this and this, it is a power for you to live. No one, you can't explain it to anyone else. No one can even understand it.
Thank you very much, Emily. Thank you for telling your story. One of the things that I am very thankful for is people coming to share their stories. There are so many people that tell me their stories on phone, like we call each other, but they don't end up on this table because they really, really, really can't put their face to their stories. And for me, people coming to this dialogue and putting their face to their story, so that those who are in the same situation right now can learn from those stories. I feel like they are very courageous, and congratulations for the bold steps that you took. How are you and your children doing right now?
It's been a journey.
Yeah,
It's been a journey.
but they're all right. They're safe.
Yeah. They're safe. They're all right. We are better.
You're better.
We are way better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he sees them.
Yes, yeah. Because it got to the government. Yeah, so we had to devise a plan on how to handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Which is good for everybody.
it's good for everybody. But now also whether he shows up or not, I chose to be a full parent without expectations. So I show up fully. So if he does not show up, I will not actually no.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just make sure that I parent fully.
All right. Thank you very much. And I wish you good luck. We are talking about marital rape. We are talking about abuse in marriage. And if you have a question that you want to ask Emily, you can always ask that question. If you have a comment, please leave your comment. If you have an experience that you've gone through, please, you can leave it in the comments. I would also humbly ask you that you may subscribe to this YouTube channel, hit on that notification bell, so that when another story and another experience comes on, you will be notified. All right. So thank you very much. Until another episode. Bye for now.